There are stories you are taught to believe, and there are stories you are never meant to hear. For nearly 2,000 years, the Gospel of Judas was not simply forgotten, it was erased, condemned as heresy, branded dangerous, buried beneath sand, silence, and fear. Because what you are about to hear does not merely challenge a detail of the Bible. It challenges the entire framework through which Christianity has been understood. This is not another gospel about rules, morality, or obedience. It is not a story about sin and forgiveness in the way you were taught. It is a revelation about reality itself, about the structure of the cosmos, the nature of God, and the hidden identity of Jesus. In this text, Judas is not the villain. He is the only disciple who understands. And Jesus is not simply a suffering savior sent to die for humanity. He is a luminous being from beyond this world, a revealer of secret knowledge, sent to awaken something buried deep within the human soul. This gospel speaks openly of realms the Bible barely hints at, of Barbelo, the first emanation of the true God, of Aeons, Luminaries, archons, and cosmic rulers, of a flawed creator, God who fashioned the material world, and of a divine spark trapped inside human beings, waiting to be remembered. If the Bible is the public teaching, this is the hidden one. If the Bible is the outer story, this is the inner architecture beneath it. Not a replacement, but a deeper layer. This is Christianity before it was simplified, before it was standardized, before mystery was replaced with doctrine. The Gospel of Judas does not ask for your belief. It asks for your attention, your patience, and your willingness to sit with ideas that unsettle rather than reassure, because this is not a comfortable text. It speaks of awakening, and awakening always comes with loss. Loss of certainty, loss of familiar meaning, loss of the comfort of simple answers. But for those willing to listen closely, it offers something rare, a glimpse behind the veil, a map of the soul, and a question that lingers long after the final words are spoken. What if the story you were given was only the surface? And what if the truth was always meant for those willing to look deeper? This audiobook is not here to tell you what to believe. It is here to guide you through one of the most dangerous, mysterious, and misunderstood texts ever written. This is the Gospel of Judas, not as history remembers it, but as it was meant to be heard. Chapter 1: The Book of Shadowed Light, Discovery and Significance. This story begins not with revelation, but with disappearance. For more than 1,000 years, the words you are about to hear slept beneath Egyptian sand, silent, fragile, and forgotten. We call it the Codex Chakos, a small papyrus book, handwritten in the 3rd or 4th century. Its journey into modern hands was chaotic, smuggled through antiquities markets, shuffled between collectors, mishandled, hidden in a safe deposit box where humidity almost destroyed it. By the time scholars opened it, the manuscript was close to death, and inside its crumbling pages lay a text no one expected: the Gospel of Judas. When researchers first examined the codex, they found a book shattered into hundreds of brittle fragments, ink fading to ghostly brown, fibers cracking, sections eaten away by moisture. It took years of restoration, infrared imaging, delicate humidification, and digital reconstruction to reassemble what could be saved. Some passages are clear, others are broken beyond repair. Some are missing entirely. Yet even in this wounded state, what remained was extraordinary. a secret conversation between Jesus and Judas, hidden for nearly 2 millennia. When the Gospel of Judas was translated and made public, the academic world erupted with fascination and controversy. Historians like Bart Ehrman, Karen King, Elaine Pagels, and April DeConnick recognized immediately that this was not a minor discovery. This was a new voice from Christianity's early centuries, a voice long suppressed and nearly lost. Here, Judas is not the villain of the traditional story. He is not the greedy betrayer, nor a puppet of Satan. Instead, he becomes the only disciple who truly understands Jesus. This interpretation sparked fierce debate. Was Judas a hero, a tragic instrument, a condemned figure mocked by the text? Even without consensus, everyone agreed on one point. This gospel is deeply, unmistakably Gnostic. To center Judas in a gospel is not merely provocative, it is scandalous. For 2,000 years, Judas has been a symbol of betrayal, the cautionary figure in every sermon, painting, and passion narrative. But here, Jesus draws him close, speaks with him privately, reveals mysteries the other disciples could not bear. Judas becomes the one who sees, the one who understands, the one who carries a necessary burden. Such a portrayal threatened not only doctrine, but emotion, the emotional structure of Christian storytelling itself. Perhaps this is why the text was rejected, and why it slept in silence for centuries. The Gospel of Judas is unlike the Gospels in the New Testament. No parables of seeds, no miracles of healing, no sermons to the crowds, no crucifixion account. Instead, it offers cosmic hierarchies, invisible realms, the realm of Barbelo, luminaries, aeons and emanations, flawed creator gods, and souls trapped in physical bodies. This is the language of Scythian Gnosticism, a mystical branch of early Christianity, woven with symbolism and metaphysical depth. The Gospel expects the listener to already understand this cosmology. It does not explain, it assumes. And that is why it feels so mysterious, and why it needs decoding. Early Christian leaders rejected Gnostic texts not simply because they were different, but because they taught a radically different worldview. A world created not by a perfect God, but by a flawed, lesser being. A Christ who reveals secret inner knowledge rather than dying to atone for sin. A humanity divided between those with divine sparks and those trapped in ignorance. In this worldview, Judas's betrayal becomes part of a cosmic plan, not an unforgivable crime. Such ideas could not survive within the emerging Orthodox Church, and so this gospel, like many others, fell into silence. The Gospel of Judas aligns directly with the Scythian branch of Gnosticism, named after Seth, the third son of Adam and Eve. Sethian texts speak of the invisible spirit, the first Aeon Barbelo, the self-begotten, autogenes, vast realms of light, and cosmic rulers and archons. These ideas form the backbone of the cosmology in the Gospel of Judas. Without them, the text appears cryptic. With them, a hidden structure begins to emerge. We will explore this slowly, carefully, one layer at a time. This manuscript identifies itself openly, the secret message of Jesus to Judas. This was not a text for the crowds, not a text for the public square, not a text meant to be preached in synagogues or basilicas. It was written for initiates, for those who sought hidden knowledge, who stood at the threshold of deeper understanding. It invites contemplation, not certainty. Whisper, not declaration. Insight, not authority. The Gospel of Judas is dense, symbolic, and often bewildering, Many read it and walk away confused, unsure of what they've encountered. So in this audiobook, we will move with patience. We will unpack the symbolism, tell the story behind the story, and illuminate the inner meaning behind the cosmic language. Layer by layer, quietly, clearly, and with intention. Because beneath the fragments and mysteries lies a single, haunting revelation. What if the one we condemned was the only one who understood? Chapter 2. A Secret Dialogue. Setting the scene. The Gospel of Judas opens with a single line that quietly sets the tone for everything that follows. 3 days before the Passover. It is a moment heavy with symbolism. These are the final days before betrayal, death, and revelation, the threshold of transformation. But in this gospel, the timing means something deeper. Passover is the celebration of liberation, and here it becomes the backdrop for a very different kind of liberation, awakening from the illusion of the material world. The disciples gather. Jesus approaches, and the true dialogue begins. When Jesus arrives among the disciples, he does not appear as they expect. He appears in the form of a child. In Gnostic symbolism, the child represents purity, unshaped light, and direct emanation from the higher realms. It is not weakness, it is original radiance before the world has distorted it. Jesus is not disguising himself. He is revealing a deeper aspect of his nature, one the disciples are not prepared to understand. From the very beginning, the gospel sends a signal. This Jesus will not behave like the Jesus of the other gospels. He is not bound to a single appearance, a single identity, or a single role. He is fluid, mystical, unpredictable. And already, the disciples do not understand him. As Jesus arrives, the disciples are engaged in religious devotion. They offer prayers and blessings, acts of piety that would appear proper and holy to any observer. But in the world of this gospel, their prayers reveal something troubling. They are worshipping a God they do not truly know. They act with sincerity, but with ignorance. The disciples are devoted to ritual, tradition, and inherited belief, yet unaware of the deeper spiritual structure that Jesus sees so clearly. This moment establishes the central contrast of the entire narrative. The disciples cling to visible religion. Jesus speaks from an invisible reality, and Judas quietly senses the difference, though he has not yet fully stepped into it. As the disciples pray, Jesus laughs, not with cruelty, not with amusement, but with a sorrowful recognition. This is the first time Jesus laughs in the Gospel of Judas, and in Gnostic literature, laughter carries deep meaning. He laughs because what the disciples believe is sacred is built on a misunderstanding. They pray to a lower deity, unaware of the higher realms. They cling to rituals without knowing the truth those rituals conceal. His laughter is not mockery. It is the sadness of someone watching others chase shadows, convinced they have found the source of light. It is a gentle crack in the illusion. In Gnostic texts, divine laughter exposes the gap between false understanding and true sight. To laugh is to reveal illusion, to show the unreality of what others take seriously. Here, Jesus laughs because the disciples do not see the cosmos as it truly is. They follow inherited belief. They worship with sincerity. But sincerity alone cannot pierce ignorance. His laughter becomes an invitation, a quiet call to look deeper, to question what seems obvious, to awaken from spiritual sleep. The disciples do not receive the laughter as an invitation. They are confused, disturbed, even angry. Their reaction is deeply human. Why would a holy teacher laugh during prayer? Why would he mock devotion? Why does he act as if he is seeing something they cannot? Their confusion exposes a deeper problem. They assume they already know who Jesus is. But the Jesus of this gospel refuses to fit their assumptions. He unsettles them. He disrupts what feels familiar. He forces them into a moment where belief must be re-examined. And this discomfort prepares the ground for what comes next. Jesus finally speaks, and his words cut sharply through their confusion. No generation among you will know me. It is a stunning declaration. He is saying that those trapped in the world of matter, the world shaped by the lesser rulers, cannot see his true nature. The disciples see the man, they hear the teacher, they follow the prophet, but they cannot comprehend the divine being who stands before them, the emissary of the true God from the realm beyond all realms. Only one among them will understand, and Jesus already knows who it will be. Then Jesus issues a challenge. Let one of you stand before me. This is not a physical challenge. It is a spiritual test, a moment designed to reveal who can approach Jesus, not with fear, but with recognition. The disciples hesitate. Some feel afraid, some feel unworthy, some feel threatened. The air grows heavy. No one moves, because to stand before Jesus is to confront a truth that can shatter everything one believes about God, self, and the world. At last, one figure steps forward. Not Peter, not James, not John. Judas. He rises not out of confidence, but because something within him recognizes what Jesus truly is. And yet, even as he stands, he cannot meet Jesus' gaze. He turns his face away. This tension, recognition without readiness, defines Judas's role in this gospel. He sees more than the others, but what he sees overwhelms him. He is a man caught between revelation and fear. Then Judas speaks words no other disciple could imagine. I know who you are. You come from the Immortal Realm of Barbelo. In Sethian Gnosticism, Barbelo is the first emanation of the true God, the womb of divine light, the realm above the flawed creator, the place from which all spiritual beings originate. In this single sentence, Judas reveals that he knows Jesus' cosmic origin, that he sees beyond the material world, that he recognizes the hidden architecture of reality. Jesus does not respond with condemnation. He responds with recognition, because Judas has spoken the truth, a truth the others could never bear. And with that recognition, the secret dialogue truly begins. Chapter 3. The Gnostic Vision of Reality. Judas has just spoken words the other disciples could never imagine. You come from the Immortal Realm of Barbelo. To understand why this is so shocking, we have to step back from the scene, beyond the disciples, beyond Judea, beyond the world itself. In Gnostic thought, there is a God beyond all gods, a true God, the invisible spirit, pure, eternal, unchanging light. This God is not the creator of the physical universe. This God is untouched by matter, time, decay, or suffering. The true God does not live within the world. The world exists far beneath it. Everything sacred in this gospel begins from this single premise. The highest reality is not the world you see, but the world hidden beyond sight. If the true God did not create the world, then who did? Gnostic texts speak of a lesser being, ignorant, arrogant, and blind to the realms above him. He is called Saklas, meaning the fool. He is called Yaldabaoth, the arrogant ruler. He is called Nebro, the rebel. He is called the Demiurge, the craftsman of the material cosmos. This being believes himself to be the highest god. He creates the heavens, the earth, and the human body, but he creates them imperfectly because he does not know the true source. This, the Gnostics say, is why the world feels fractured, why suffering seems woven into its foundation, why injustice persists at every level of existence. The creator of the visible world is not evil for the sake of evil. He is simply blind, and blind rulers create blind realities. The Demiurge does not rule alone. He fashions powers and authorities, archons, to administer the worlds beneath him. They govern fate, cycles of birth and death, the motions of stars, the structures of societies, and even the limits of human consciousness. To the Gnostic imagination, these rulers form a kind of barrier, a system designed to keep humanity spiritually asleep. Not necessarily because they are malicious, but because they do not understand the realms of light from which humanity truly comes. This is the world the disciples pray to in the opening chapter, not knowing that their worship is aimed at the administrators of a flawed cosmos, rather than the God beyond all worlds. And yet, despite being shaped by a lesser creator, humanity carries something he did not intend, a spark from the higher, invisible realm. This spark, this fragment of the true God, is the hidden core of consciousness, the part of you that senses something is missing, the part that feels out of place in the world, the part that longs for meaning, truth, and freedom. In Gnostic thought, this spark is who you truly are. It is the memory of your origin, buried beneath layers of illusion. And the purpose of revelation is not to forgive sin, but to awaken what has been asleep since birth. If humanity carries divine sparks, why do we not remember where we came from? Because the moment a soul enters the material world, it forgets. The body becomes a distraction. Society becomes a teacher of illusions. The archons enforce ignorance. The Creator proclaims himself the only God. And slowly, humanity forgets its true origin until life becomes a cycle of unknowing. This is the condition Jesus sees in the disciples. This is why their prayers cling to shadows. This is why their devotion, though sincere, is misdirected. They are good men, but asleep. Awakening is rare. Not because people are unworthy, but because the world is designed to keep them distracted, obedient, and unaware. Most people live their entire lives within the horizon of the material realm. They worship the God of this world, follow its laws, fear its rulers, and accept its suffering as normal. Gnosis, hidden knowledge, requires a rupture in the ordinary. A moment when the veil lifts. A moment when the soul recognizes that reality is far larger than it seemed. Most people never experience this. But Judas feels the tremor of awakening already. He senses that something is off. He feels the weight of a truth the others cannot bear. And this is why Jesus turns to him. In traditional Christianity, salvation is forgiveness of sin. In Gnosticism, salvation is awakening from illusion. It is the soul remembering its origin, the divine spark reclaiming its identity. The human being seeing through the architect of the material world. Forgiveness is not the point. Knowledge is. Insight is. Recognition is. This is why the Gospel of Judas does not focus on sin, rules, or repentance. It focuses on vision, on seeing the world's hidden architecture clearly. Because once the soul knows the truth, nothing can keep it trapped. In this worldview, Jesus is not simply a teacher, prophet, or miracle worker. He is the revealer, the one sent from the realm of light to wake the sleeping sparks within humanity. His purpose is not to die for sin. His purpose is to open the eyes of those who can see. This is why he laughs. This is why he speaks in riddles. This is why he chooses certain disciples for deeper teaching. And this is why Judas becomes the central figure of this gospel. Because Judas is the one who recognizes the luminous origin of Jesus, the one who senses that the world's God is not the true God at all. A moment of recognition that changes everything. Judas is not chosen because he is morally superior. He is chosen because he can see. He perceives the gap between appearance and reality. He senses the strangeness behind Jesus' presence. He feels the pull of something beyond the material world. This openness makes him the only disciple capable of receiving the secret knowledge, the knowledge of the higher realms, the flawed creator, the architecture of the cosmos, and the destiny that will unfold. It is not favoritism, it is resonance, a recognition between two beings who come from the same higher realm. This is why Judas stands when the others remain seated. This is why he names Jesus' true origin. This is why Jesus speaks to him alone. Judas is not the betrayer yet. He is the only one awake. Without this cosmology, the Gospel of Judas makes no sense. With it, the narrative becomes revelation. Jesus' laughter, the disciples' blindness, Judas's insight, the temple vision, the cosmic map of the Aeons, the prophecy of betrayal, all of it unfolds within this hidden structure. This chapter is the lens through which everything else must be heard. The Gospel is not merely the story of a man betrayed. It is the story of a soul who sees the truth, a world ruled by ignorance, and a teacher who reveals the path back to the realm of light. Now that the inner architecture is visible, the narrative of Jesus and Judas can truly begin. Chapter 4. The Laughter of the Living Jesus. When Jesus laughs at the disciples, it is not the laughter of ridicule, but the laughter of someone who sees what others cannot. The disciples believe they are worshipping the highest God. They believe their prayers rise to the center of heaven. They believe they stand in devotion before the ultimate divine. But from Jesus' perspective, from the vantage point of the higher realm, he sees a truth they cannot. Their worship is directed toward the rulers of the material cosmos, not the invisible spirit beyond all worlds. He laughs because their devotion is sincere, but their understanding is still bound to illusion. It is not their faith he laughs at, but the blindness woven into the structure of their world. The disciples do not respond to this laughter with curiosity. They respond with fear. Fear that their devotion is being mocked. Fear that they have done something wrong. Fear that the teacher they trust is speaking from a place they cannot reach. Fear always arises when the familiar is threatened, when the foundation of a worldview begins to crack. Jesus' laughter unsettles them because it exposes something they do not want to face. They do not truly know the one they follow. They see the man, but not the being. They hear the voice, but not the truth behind it. Their fear reveals the distance between belief and understanding. Jesus tells them plainly, "You are praying to your God, not the true God, not the invisible spirit, not the source of all light. They are praying to the God of this world, the architect of the material realm, the demiurge, the ruler who shaped their religion without revealing the higher truth." This is the tragedy Jesus sees, that people can be devout, faithful, sincere, and still be worshipping a lesser being, mistaking the shadow for the sun. Their piety is not wrong. It is incomplete, shaped by a world that hides its own origins. Jesus speaks of the God within you and his stars becoming angry. This is not poetic language, it is cosmological. In Gnostic thought, the stars are not only physical lights in the sky, they are the rulers of fate, administrators of destiny, agents of the demiurge who bind humanity to cycles of ignorance. The God within you refers to the influence of the material creator embedded in human nature. The instincts, fears, impulses, and inherited beliefs shaped by the lower realm. When higher wisdom is revealed, these rulers resist. Awakening threatens their authority. Once a soul sees the truth, the archons lose their hold. This is why the disciples struggle, not because they lack devotion, but because the cosmos itself pushes back against understanding. In the Gospel of Judas, ignorance is not a moral failure. It is a cosmic condition. People inherit beliefs shaped by the demiurge. They practice rituals with sincerity, never realizing that these rituals reinforce the authority of the lower powers. Religion, as the disciples experience it, is not a path to truth. It is a system built inside a closed world, a cage that looks like a temple, a ritual that feels like revelation while keeping the soul asleep. Jesus does not condemn them for this. He understands the structure that binds them. He sees ignorance not as sin, but as blindness. And his laughter is the sound of compassion colliding with illusion. The disciples cannot understand Jesus for one simple reason. They think they already do. They believe they know who God is. They believe they know how the world works. They believe their prayers reach the highest heavens. But Jesus speaks from realms they cannot imagine, realms beyond the stars, beyond the rulers, beyond the God they have been taught to worship. He speaks the language of the invisible kingdom. They answer from inside the visible one. Understanding requires a rupture in certainty, a crack in the shell of what feels obvious. The disciples are not ready for that. Not yet. Among the disciples, only one senses the deeper truth: Judas. He is troubled, uneasy, aware that something does not fit the surface of things. He sees what the others overlook. He feels the strangeness in Jesus' presence. He recognizes the signature of the higher realm. This is why he stood when Jesus challenged them. This is why he named the Immortal Realm of Barbelo. This is why Jesus speaks to him in ways the others cannot hear. Judas is not more righteous. He is more awake. Jesus' laughter is not mockery. It is sorrow. Sorrow that the disciples cannot see the truth. Sorrow that the world has hidden itself so thoroughly. Sorrow that the divine spark within humanity lies dormant beneath layers of illusion. He laughs because the situation is too tragic for anger and too profound for tears. It is the laughter of someone who sees both worlds at once. the ignorance of the present, and the possibility of awakening. And it is this sound that marks the beginning of deeper revelation. With the disciples asleep and Judas beginning to awaken, the next stage of the secret teaching can unfold. Chapter 5. The generation beyond this realm. After speaking with the disciples, Jesus withdraws. He leaves them in their confusion and fear, only to return in a form they have never seen before. The Gospel says that he comes back from another holy generation. This does not mean that he simply walked away and returned from a distant place. It means that he stepped out of the material world entirely, into the luminous realm from which he came, and then crossed the threshold back again. To the disciples, this is impossible. To Jesus, it is simply home. When Jesus returns from this higher realm, the disciples do not understand what they are witnessing. They sense a change in him, a radiance, a presence, the weight of an unseen world resting upon his form. But instead of grasping its meaning, they interpret what they see through familiar categories. A prophet blessed, a teacher inspired, a man touched by God. Nothing in their worldview prepares them for the truth that Jesus belongs to a generation not born on earth, a lineage beyond the reach of the stars. Their misunderstanding is inevitable, and it is tragic. The holy generation Jesus comes from is the incorruptible generation, a lineage of beings untouched by matter, untouched by decay, untouched by the flawed creator of the physical cosmos. This is the realm of Barbelo, the realm of pure light, the realm where beings do not die, do not suffer, and do not forget their origin. To the Gnostics, this realm is the birthplace of the true human, not the material body we inhabit, but the inner spark that remembers where it came from. Jesus moves between these two realms effortlessly. The disciples cannot follow him. Not yet. In the cosmology of this gospel, the difference between mortals and immortals is not physical. It is ontological. Mortals live within the world created by the demiurge, bound by time, fate, and ignorance. Immortals belong to the realm of the true God, where existence flows from pure consciousness and beings do not die, but return to their source. Jesus belongs to the immortals. The disciples belong to the mortals. And Judas stands between the two. Above the stars, beyond the visible heavens, stands an immense cosmic hierarchy. Aeons, Luminaries, archons, realms and sub-realms layered upon one another, each more refined, more luminous, and more distant from the flawed creator of the material world. The disciples know nothing of this. They imagine heaven as a single place, God as a single throne, and their prayers as rising directly to the highest realm. Jesus knows the truth. The world they can see is only a shadow of the world that is. To understand him, one must understand the architecture of the cosmos itself. In early Gnostic thought, the human being exists in layers. There is the body, created by the demiurge, shaped from matter, subject to decay. There is the soul, shaped by the archons, the seat of emotion, desire, and identity. And there is the spirit, the divine spark, the element of the true God, the part that remembers its origin. Most people live entirely within the first two layers, driven by the body and guided by the soul, unaware of the spirit within. Jesus comes to awaken that spirit, but only those who can sense its presence are able to receive his teaching. When Jesus returns from the holy generation, the disciples fall silent, not out of reverence, but out of fear and confusion. They cannot speak because they do not understand what they are seeing. They cannot question because they lack the framework to interpret it. They cannot follow because the doorway Jesus walks through is invisible to them. Silence becomes their refuge. Silence becomes their shield. It is the silence of men overwhelmed by a truth they cannot grasp. Jesus reveals that there are two humanities. One born of the material world, bound to the demiurge, destined to remain within the cycle of death and rebirth. And one born of the higher realm, carrying the spark of the true God, destined to return to the incorruptible generation. The disciples belong to the first. Judas belongs to the second. This is the hidden conflict at the heart of the gospel, not between Jesus and Judas, but between two orders of humanity, two origins, and two destinies. Only one path leads back to the realm of light. Only one disciple will walk it. Chapter 6. The Disciples' Troubling Vision. After Jesus reveals the higher realm, the disciples approach him with fear and uncertainty. They tell him, "Teacher, we saw a great house in a vision." The vision is of a temple, not the earthly temple in Jerusalem, but a symbolic structure representing religion, authority, and sacrifice. In Gnostic texts, a temple often represents the world of the demiurge, a place that appears holy, yet conceals a deeper distortion. Jesus listens carefully. He knows this vision is not random. It is a revelation of their inner condition, a mirror reflecting the world they unknowingly serve. The disciples describe what they saw next. "We saw 12 priests standing at the altar. These priests are not strangers. They represent the 12 disciples themselves, not their spiritual nature, but their roles within the religious system of the material world. They believe they are serving God, but the vision reveals another truth. They are participating in rituals that reinforce the dominion of the lower powers. Jesus does not condemn them for this. He simply unveils the deeper meaning. The disciples are caught inside a system they cannot yet fully see. The disciples continue describing the vision. Some were sacrificing children, some were sacrificing their wives, some were blessing themselves, some were engaging in shameful deeds. These images are shocking, but they are not meant to be read literally. They are symbolic, exposing the corruption of a religious order governed by the demiurge, where sacrifice becomes violence, piety becomes self-justification, and devotion becomes blindness. The disciples do not understand why their vision contains such darkness. Jesus does, because the vision is not about God's realm, but about religion shaped by ignorance. The disciples describe another detail. A crowd stood waiting at the altar, calling out to the priests. This crowd represents humanity itself, the masses who look to religious leaders for salvation, guidance, and blessing. But in the vision, the crowd receives no life. They wait for answers that never arrive, pray to authorities who cannot save them, and seek truth from a system that does not possess it. The dream reveals a tragic cycle. Leaders and followers, priests and crowds, all moving within an illusion they believe to be sacred. Then the disciples add a crucial detail. They invoked your name at the altar. This is one of the most unsettling moments in the entire gospel. The vision shows people performing rituals in the name of Jesus while remaining trapped in ignorance. It is a warning. The use of Jesus' name does not guarantee truth. It can be spoken by those who do not understand him at all. The Gospel is revealing how Jesus' name will echo through future generations, sometimes pointing toward the true God, but often reinforcing the authority of the false one. Now Jesus must interpret the vision plainly. Jesus turns to them and says, "You are the priests you saw in the vision." It is a devastating revelation. The disciples had hoped the dream referred to corrupt leaders elsewhere, but Jesus shows them that the vision reflects their own inner state. They perform rituals without knowledge. They pray to a God they do not truly understand. They carry the system of the demiurge within themselves. In this moment, the disciples realize that their devotion is sincere, but their foundation is flawed. Jesus then explains the source of this corruption. The minister of error will rule over them. The minister of error is not a single person, but a power, the force of ignorance that blinds humanity to the truth of the higher realm. It is a distortion woven into the cosmos, inherited from the demiurge itself. This power governs religious systems, shapes belief structures, and convinces humanity that the God of the material world is the highest God. Even the disciples fall under its influence until Jesus exposes it for what it is. Jesus continues, "The trees you saw with no fruit are the souls who have received false teachings." In Gnostic language, fruit is spiritual insight, understanding, awakening, knowledge of one's true origin. The trees are souls that live and grow, but because they are nourished by ignorance, they produce nothing real. They exist without knowing who they are. The disciples begin to realize that the vision is not condemning others. It is revealing their own spiritual barrenness. Finally, the disciples tell Jesus they begged the priests for mercy. Jesus explains, "These are the souls who are misled and will perish for lack of knowledge." This is not punishment, it is consequence. A soul that never awakens cannot escape the cycle of the material world. It remains trapped under the authority of the demiurge, calling out to leaders who cannot guide it to the higher realm. Jesus uses this moment to show the disciples what is truly at stake. Not obedience, not ritual, but knowledge. And now, only Judas is prepared for what comes next. Chapter 7. The Secret Path of Judas. After interpreting the disciples' troubling vision, Jesus turns away from the group and calls Judas into a private space. The Gospel says simply, "He took him aside." This is the moment everything shifts. What the other disciples cannot bear, Judas must now confront alone. From this point forward, the Gospel becomes an intimate dialogue between one who sees and one who reveals. Jesus brings Judas to a place described symbolically as a mountain over water. In Gnostic language, this is a threshold space. The mountain represents ascent toward knowledge. The waters below represent the chaotic world ruled by the demiurge. Standing there, Judas is suspended between two realities, the world he was born into and the world he is being summoned toward. This is not a path meant for many. It is a path only he will walk. Judas begins with a question that reveals the depth of his perception. He asks, "Master, how does the great generation come into being?" He is not asking about ancestry or earthly lineage. He is asking about the incorruptible generation, the realm of Barbelo, the beings of light who do not die? It is a question no other disciple could even form. It shows that Judas already senses the hidden architecture of the cosmos, even if he does not yet fully understand it. And Jesus begins to answer him. Judas then asks what will happen to the souls of humanity after death. Jesus replies with a truth that is difficult to accept. No soul of a mortal generation will be able to see the eternal realm. Those who live only within the body and the soul remain bound to the world shaped by the demiurge. They cannot ascend beyond it. But Jesus also reveals that spirits born from the higher realm will return to it once they awaken. Judas listens with urgency because, unlike the others, he feels the weight of what is truly at stake. Judas is not afraid for himself. He is afraid for everyone else. He asks, "What of those who cannot ascend?" This question reveals something the Gospel never states directly, but quietly implies. Judas is not cold or detached. He cares. He feels the tragedy of a world trapped in ignorance. Jesus does not offer comfort. He reveals structure. Some will awaken, many will not. The weight of this truth settles heavily upon Judas's spirit. Jesus explains the rarity of awakening through a metaphor. Souls who hear the truth but cannot receive it are like seed scattered on rock. The seed on the rock will not take root. Insight cannot grow where the inner soil is closed, rigid, or bound by the structures of the demiurge. Only a few souls possess the interior openness required for revelation. Only a few can bear the truth. Only a few can awaken. Judas is one of them, and even he trembles under its weight. Jesus explains further why ascension is so rare. Only those with the spirit of the eternal realm will rise to the great generation. Most people live entirely within the body and the soul, the layers shaped by the demiurge and the archons. They serve powers they do not recognize, and pray to gods they do not understand. Ascension is not granted through behavior. It is not a reward for obedience. It is an act of remembrance. This is why Judas is taught privately, because the seed of truth can take root within him. As the dialogue deepens, Judas is shown a vision. He says, "I saw myself, and the others were stoning me." It is a haunting image, heavy with meaning, a prophecy wrapped in symbol. The stones represent misunderstanding, the violence that emerges when truth confronts tradition. Judas sees the rejection he will face, the curses his name will carry, the burden of a destiny no one else will understand. He is beginning to see the cost of the path unfolding before him. Then Judas describes another vision. He sees an immense, radiant house, vast beyond measure, filled with countless rooms. He asks Jesus, "What is this great house, and who will dwell within it?" Jesus tells him that this is the realm of the higher Aeons, the dwelling place of the divine generation. It is not a place mortals can enter. It is the home of those born of the light. Judas is being shown not only the structure of the cosmos, but the destination of the awakened. Finally, Jesus speaks a line that is both mysterious and painful. "Your star has led you astray." In Gnostic cosmology, a star is not merely a celestial object. It is a destiny, a governing force, a spiritual signature. Jesus is not condemning Judas. He is revealing that Judas's path is not one he would ever choose, but one he must fulfill. His star, his fate, will draw him into actions the world will condemn, but the higher realm will understand. Judas leaves this encounter shaken, standing between knowledge and anguish, between destiny and dread. The secret path is now open before him, and it cannot be turned back. Jesus begins by warning Judas about what he is about to reveal. No one of the mortal generation will see the things you are about to see. This is a threshold, a boundary between ordinary religion and the hidden architecture of reality. Judas is being invited into a vision not meant for the other disciples, nor for the world shaped by the demiurge. This is knowledge for the awakened, knowledge that exists beyond time, beyond the stars, beyond the reach of mortal sight. Jesus reveals the highest reality. There exists a great invisible spirit. No eye of an angel has ever seen it. This is the true God, not the creator of the material world, but the source of all light and all emanations. The invisible spirit has no form, no name, no beginning, and no end. It is pure existence, pure consciousness, pure light. Everything else, all gods, rulers, angels, and worlds, flows downward from this single luminous origin. From the invisible spirit emanates what Jesus calls a luminous cloud, called the self-generated. This is the first manifestation of the invisible spirit, a radiant field of divine potential. It is not a cloud of water or mist, but a realm of pure spiritual substance. Within it lies the blueprint for all realms, all beings, and all destinies that will follow. It is the womb of the spiritual universe. Within this luminous cloud appears the first great being, and the self-generated autogenes came into being. Autogenes means self-born, the first emanation with identity, form, and purpose. Autogenes becomes the architect of the higher worlds, the ruler of the Aeons, and the foundation of the divine hierarchy. From Autogenes, the entire cosmic order begins to unfold. Jesus describes these upper domains as the eternal realms and the perfect Aeons. Each Aeon is a dimension of pure light, a reality beyond physicality or corruption. These are not planets or heavens. They are states of being, vast, living realities that emanate intelligence, harmony, and consciousness. In these realms, beings do not suffer, do not decay, and do not forget their origin. These Aeons form the upper architecture of the cosmos, the true home of the divine spark within humanity. From Autogenes arise myriads upon myriads of angels and ministering spirits. These beings inhabit the light realms as expressions of divine qualities, wisdom, clarity, strength, and purity. They do not command mortals. They do not punish or reward. They simply exist as living reflections of the invisible spirit's radiance. These are the true celestial hosts, not rulers of fate, but keepers of light. Jesus then introduces two luminous figures, the great Adamus and the incorruptible Seth. Adamus is the heavenly archetype of humanity, the perfect form from which the divine spark originates. He represents what humanity was meant to be before becoming trapped in matter. Seth is the spiritual ancestor of the enlightened, the father of the incorruptible generation. To the Gnostics, those who awaken belong to the race of Seth, a lineage not of blood, but of spirit. Judas is being shown his connection to this lineage. Jesus speaks of the holy generation of the perfect human. This generation is eternal, unchanged by the world, and unbound by the demiurge. These are the souls who carry the divine spark and remember their origin. They are not chosen by merit, but by nature. They awaken because they recognize the truth when it is spoken to them. Judas is being prepared to understand that he belongs to this generation. Jesus then reveals the order beneath the Aeons. 72 luminaries came into being to rule over the 72 heavens. These luminaries are not stars, but vast spiritual intelligences that govern realms of light. Their number symbolizes completeness and harmony. They preserve the structure of the upper cosmos, ensuring that all emanations remain aligned with the invisible spirit. This is the architecture of perfection, standing in stark contrast to the flawed world below. Beneath the luminaries lie the lower heavens, and they produced for each luminary 5 firmaments, making 360 in total. These firmaments represent layers of separation, barriers between realms, filters between light and shadow. Their number corresponds to the cycle of the year, symbolizing the illusion of repetition and fate that governs the visible cosmos. They form the boundary between the realms of light and the worlds shaped by the demiurge. The revelation then moves deeper still, and there appeared Elilith and the realms of Hades and Chaos. Elilith is one of the great light bringers, a protector of souls seeking ascent, a guide and guardian of truth. Hades and Chaos, by contrast, are regions of confusion and imprisonment, domains where souls become trapped in ignorance and suffering. These realms mark the dividing line between awakening and forgetfulness. Jesus reveals the origin of the rulers of the material world, and Nebro, who is also called Yaldabaoth, and his servant Saklas came into being. Nebro, meaning the rebel, is the arrogant archon who believes himself to be the highest god. He creates worlds not from wisdom, but from blindness. Saklas means the fool. He governs humanity through ignorance, shaping religions and beliefs that keep souls asleep. These are the powers that disciples unknowingly serve. Judas is being shown the truth behind the world's facade. Jesus then reveals the creation of humanity, and Saklas created Adam and Eve in the likeness of the heavenly Adam. The demiurge copies the spiritual pattern without understanding its meaning. He forms bodies from matter, but cannot give them true life. The spirit descends into these forms without his knowledge, a spark from the higher realm trapped within a material shell. This is the origin of humanity's divided nature, divine essence bound within an earthly prison. Jesus concludes with a painful truth. The souls of many will wander in error until they awaken and ascend. Souls are trapped in bodies shaped by the demiurge, bound by rulers, and lost in forgetfulness. Yet the divine spark within them remains untouched and unchanged, waiting for the moment of recognition. This cosmology is not a map of the stars. It is a map of the soul. It reveals the hidden journey every awakened being must take. And Judas, standing alone with Jesus, is being shown the complete architecture of existence. Chapter 8, The Cosmic Map, Aeons and Luminaries. Jesus begins by warning Judas about what he is about to reveal. No one of the mortal generation will see the things you are about to see. This is a threshold, a boundary between ordinary religion and the hidden architecture of reality. Judas is being invited into a vision not meant for the other disciples, nor for the world shaped by the demiurge. This is knowledge for the awakened, knowledge that exists beyond time, beyond the stars, beyond the reach of mortal sight. Jesus reveals the highest reality, there exists a great invisible spirit. No eye of an angel has ever seen it. This is the true God, not the creator of the material world, but the source of all light and all emanations. The invisible spirit has no form, no name, no beginning, and no end. It is pure existence, pure consciousness, pure light. Everything else, all gods, rulers, angels, and worlds, flows downward from this single luminous origin. From the invisible spirit emanates what Jesus calls a luminous cloud, called the self-generated. This is the first manifestation of the invisible spirit, a radiant field of divine potential. It is not a cloud of water or mist, but a realm of pure spiritual substance. Within it lies the blueprint for all realms, all beings, and all destinies that will follow. It is the womb of the spiritual universe. Within this luminous cloud appears the first great being, and the self-generated autogenes came into being. Autogenes means self-born, the first emanation with identity, form, and purpose. Autogenes becomes the architect of the higher worlds, the ruler of the Aeons, and the foundation of the divine hierarchy. From Autogenes, the entire cosmic order begins to unfold. Jesus describes these upper domains as the eternal realms and the perfect Aeons. Each Aeon is a dimension of pure light, a reality beyond physicality or corruption. These are not planets or heavens, they are states of being, vast living realities that emanate intelligence, harmony, and consciousness. In these realms, beings do not suffer, do not decay, and do not forget their origin. These Aeons form the upper architecture of the cosmos, the true home of the divine spark within humanity. From Autogenes arise myriads upon myriads of angels and ministering spirits. These beings inhabit the light realms as expressions of divine qualities, wisdom, clarity, strength, and purity. They do not command mortals. They do not punish or reward. They simply exist as living reflections of the invisible spirit's radiance. These are the true celestial hosts, not rulers of fate, but keepers of light. Jesus then introduces two luminous figures, the great Adamas and the incorruptible Seth. Adamas is the heavenly archetype of humanity, the perfect form from which the divine spark originates. He represents what humanity was meant to be before becoming trapped in matter. Seth is the spiritual ancestor of the enlightened, the father of the incorruptible generation. To the Gnostics, those who awaken belong to the race of Seth, a lineage not of blood, but of spirit. Judas is being shown his connection to this lineage. Jesus speaks of the holy generation of the perfect human. This generation is eternal, unchanged by the world, and unbound by the demiurge. These are the souls who carry the divine spark and remember their origin. They are not chosen by merit, but by nature. They awaken because they recognize the truth when it is spoken to them. Judas is being prepared to understand that he belongs to this generation. Jesus then reveals the order beneath the Aeons. 72 luminaries came into being to rule over the 72 heavens. These luminaries are not stars, but vast spiritual intelligences that govern realms of light. Their number symbolizes completeness and harmony. They preserve the structure of the upper cosmos, ensuring that all emanations remain aligned with the invisible spirit. This is the architecture of perfection, standing in stark contrast to the flawed world below. Beneath the luminaries lie the lower heavens, and they produced for each luminary 5 firmaments, making 360 in total. These firmaments represent layers of separation, barriers between realms, filters between light and shadow. Their number corresponds to the cycle of the year, symbolizing the illusion of repetition and fate that governs the visible cosmos. They form the boundary between the realms of light and the worlds shaped by the demiurge. The revelation then moves deeper still, and there appeared Eloleth and the realms of Hades and Chaos. Eloleth is one of the great light bringers, a protector of souls seeking ascent, a guide and guardian of truth. Hades and Chaos, by contrast, are regions of confusion and imprisonment, domains where souls become trapped in ignorance and suffering. These realms mark the dividing line between awakening and forgetfulness. Jesus reveals the origin of the rulers of the material world, and Nebro, who is also called Yaldabaoth, and his servant Saklas came into being. Nebro, meaning the rebel, is the arrogant archon who believes himself to be the highest god. He creates worlds not from wisdom, but from blindness. Saklas means the fool. He governs humanity through ignorance, shaping religions and beliefs that keep souls asleep. These are the powers the disciples unknowingly serve. Judas is being shown the truth behind the world's facade. Jesus then reveals the creation of humanity, and Saklas created Adam and Eve in the likeness of the heavenly Adam. The demiurge copies the spiritual pattern without understanding its meaning. He forms bodies from matter, but cannot give them true life. The spirit descends into these forms without his knowledge, a spark from the higher realm, trapped within a material shell. This is the origin of humanity's divided nature, divine essence bound within an earthly prison. Jesus concludes with a painful truth. The souls of many will wander in error until they awaken and ascend. Souls are trapped in bodies shaped by the demiurge, bound by rulers, and lost in forgetfulness. Yet the divine spark within them remains untouched and unchanged, waiting for the moment of recognition. This cosmology is not a map of the stars. It is a map of the soul. It reveals the hidden journey every awakened being must take. And Judas, standing alone with Jesus, is being shown the complete architecture of existence. Chapter 9: Stars, Destiny, and the Rulers of the World. Judas begins this part of the dialogue with a question that cuts to the core of existence. He asks whether the spirit itself can die. In the world revealed by this gospel, death is not universal. It applies to the body, it applies to the soul, but it does not apply to the spirit. Jesus answers him clearly. The spirit will not perish, nor will the generation of the holy. The spirit, the divine spark, belongs to the realm of light. It cannot be touched by the rulers of the material cosmos. This is the foundation of Gnostic hope. What you truly are cannot die. Jesus then makes a distinction the other disciples never grasp. The soul will die, he says, but the spirit, born from the eternal realm, will ascend. The soul is shaped by the body and bound to the world. It carries emotion, memory, and identity, and these dissolve when the body dies. But the spirit is different. It is a fragment of the invisible spirit itself, implanted within human beings. It is the part that recognizes truth when it hears it, the part that responds when Jesus speaks. Most people never awaken this inner spark. Judas is awakening now. In this gospel, the stars are not merely lights in the sky. They are rulers. They are forces of destiny. They are the mechanisms that govern fate. Jesus tells Judas, the stars govern generations, and their ruling will end. Until awakening occurs, human beings live under the influence of these cosmic powers, cycles of birth, suffering, death, and rebirth. Gnosis breaks the grip of the stars. Knowledge frees the spirit from destiny. This is why Jesus teaches Judas privately, so he can see the machinery operating behind existence itself. Jesus explains that there are rulers who enforce these cycles, the archons. The rulers, he says, keep the soul in error until it comes to know the truth. They do not rule the spirit. They rule the realm of matter, the flow of time, and the rise and fall of generations. They shape the seasons of human history, not as wise guides, but as blind governors working inside a flawed creation. Judas begins to grasp the scale of what humanity is trapped within. Jesus then reveals something unexpected. The demiurge himself, Saklas, does not rule forever. His authority is temporary. His dominion has limits. The Gospel records the words, "The time of Saklas has been set, and his star will fail." Even the rulers of the world are not eternal. Their power is borrowed, conditional, and destined to collapse. Only the invisible spirit endures beyond all cycles. Jesus speaks next of 6 stars that wander in error. These stars symbolize errant powers, rulers who govern the cycles of mortal existence, but do so in confusion and ignorance. They influence fate. They turn the wheel of reincarnation. They keep souls bound to the world below. Their wandering reflects the instability of the cosmos shaped by Saklas, a universe in constant motion, but without true direction. Then Jesus delivers one of the most unsettling prophecies in the entire Gospel. Generations will curse and defile my name, and they will do all this in my name. This is not a warning about outsiders. It is a warning about future followers. People will use the name of Jesus while misunderstanding his teaching. Religion itself will become a tool of the demiurge when knowledge is replaced with ritual and awakening is replaced with obedience. Jesus tells Judas this so he will not confuse popularity with truth. Jesus contrasts Judas with those who will come after. Many will stand in my name, he says, and they will lead multitudes astray. These are the disciples of future generations, religious authorities and teachers who speak without understanding the cosmology Jesus reveals. They will not know the invisible spirit. They will not know the true God. They will not know the realm of light. They will speak his name while denying his knowledge. They are not evil. They are blind. This is why Jesus turns instead to Judas. Finally, Jesus speaks directly to Judas about his own fate. Your star has led you astray, he says, and yet also, your star will rule over the 13th Aeon. This is one of the most mysterious declarations in the Gospel. It means that Judas carries a destiny that appears as error from within the world, but alignment from the perspective of the higher realm. The 13th Aeon stands beyond the 12 heavens, a realm of transition, judgment, and transformation. Judas does not yet understand what this means. He only feels the pull of a destiny too heavy to bear and too late to escape. His star is rising, and with it, the final movement of the story. Chapter 10, the terrible destiny of Judas. By this point, Judas has seen more than any of the other disciples. He has been shown the higher realms, the true God, the flawed creator, the rulers and the stars that govern destiny. Now Jesus turns his attention back to something painfully ordinary, the rituals the disciples perform every day. He tells Judas that the others are baptized in error. They wash, they bless, they invoke God's name, and they sincerely believe they are doing something holy. But Jesus reveals that these actions are rooted in a misunderstanding of reality itself. Their baptisms do not connect them to the invisible spirit. They bind them more deeply to the world of the lower powers, the demiurge and his archons, the rulers who built this flawed cosmos and keep souls distracted, obedient, and asleep. This is one of the hardest truths in the gospel, that a person can be sincere, devout, emotionally moved by religion, and still be swimming in the wrong waters. From here, the conversation darkens. Jesus begins to speak of something Judas already feels approaching, even if he does not yet know the details: his death. In the Gospel of Judas, Jesus does not describe his death as a disaster, nor as the triumph of his enemies. He speaks of it as inevitable, a moment when the rulers of this world will do what they always do: attack what they cannot understand. But beneath their violence, a deeper movement is unfolding, one Judas is being asked to take part in. To make this clear, Jesus speaks a line that changes everything. No mortal hand will rule over me. On the surface, it sounds like defiance, a refusal to be conquered by human power. But within this gospel, the meaning is sharper. The rulers of this world, authorities, soldiers, priests, even death itself, can only touch what belongs to them: the body, the flesh, the outer garment. They cannot touch the living Jesus, the being from the realm of Barbelo, the luminous presence that Judas alone has recognized. Jesus is separating two realities in Judas's mind: the man of flesh and the divine presence that wears that flesh like clothing. The rulers may seize the garment, but they can never lay a hand on the light within. Then comes the line that sits at the center of the entire Gospel of Judas. Jesus looks at him and says, "You will sacrifice the man who clothes me. Not, you will betray me. Not, you will destroy me. But you will sacrifice the man who carries me." In other words, you will be the one who delivers this body, this outer shell, into the hands of the rulers. You will bring about the separation between what is mortal and what is immortal. To the outer world, the story will look simple. Judas hands Jesus over. Judas is the traitor. Judas is the villain. But on the inner level, Judas becomes the one who enables the divine to leave the prison of flesh and return fully to the realm of light. He is not merely an actor in a tragedy. He is a participant in a liberation. Jesus has already spoken about stars, that they represent destinies, governing forces, and cosmic positions. Now he speaks of Judas's star directly. Your star has led you astray, but your star will rule over the 13th Aeon. In ancient and mystical thought, a star is not just a point of light in the sky. It is the pattern of a life, the path a soul must walk, the place one occupies in the structure of the universe. Judas's star pulls him away from the safety of the group, away from ordinary devotion, away from the comfort of being just another disciple. It draws him toward something both terrible and holy at once. From the outside, his actions will look like betrayal. From the inside, they are participation in design few could ever bear to see. His destiny is not clean. It is not respectable. It is not something anyone would choose. Yet it is written into the pattern of his being. Pause and feel what this means. To be told by the teacher you love, the only one who has truly seen you, that your role is to hand him over. The text hints at Judas's disturbance and sorrow, even if it does not linger on his emotions. He knows what people will say. He knows what the other disciples will think. He knows how history will remember him, or rather, misremember him. This is not cheap drama. It is the anguish of someone who sees too much, the cosmic view from above and the human pain from below. Judas is being asked to carry both at once. Jesus does not hide what is coming. He tells Judas plainly, "You will be cursed by the generations." Not misunderstood for a moment, but condemned across centuries. His name will become a warning, a symbol, a shorthand for betrayal itself. All because he did what the divine asked of him. This is one of the most haunting dimensions of the Gospel of Judas, that faithfulness at the cosmic level appears as treachery at the human level. Jesus tells him this in advance, so Judas will know that the curses are not the final truth, only the surface story. Then comes another promise, equally mysterious. You will rule over them in the last times. In Gnostic cosmology, there are 12 Aeons, structured realms under the authority of the archons. The 13th stands outside that order. 13 has always felt unstable, unsettling, out of place. In this system, that strangeness is intentional. The 13th realm is the boundary, the threshold between the corrupted structure of the world and the open expanse of the invisible spirit. To rule there does not mean to dominate. It means to stand at the crossing point where illusion collapses and truth becomes visible. Judas's destiny is tied to that threshold, to the moment where separation occurs and passage becomes possible. He becomes, in a sense, the figure at the gate between this world and the next. The Gospel does not give Judas a dramatic speech or a long protest. But between the lines, his inner conflict is unmistakable. If he obeys, he will be hated. If he refuses, he will betray the truth he now sees. This is his torment, not greed, not weakness, but the pain of being asked to play the role the story requires, and the world will never understand. It is the suffering of a soul caught between love for his teacher and obedience to a destiny that will cost him everything. Before the narrative moves toward the final events, the text tells us that Jesus continues to teach Judas many things about the upper realms, the fate of souls, and what will unfold after the ruler's act. We are not given every word of those teachings. We are only told that Judas received them. Some knowledge belongs only to the one who must carry it. But we know enough. When Judas finally walks toward the priests, toward the money, toward the garden, he is not walking blindly. He walks carrying the weight of everything he has seen. The invisible spirit, the Aeons of light, the flawed creator, the rulers, the stars, and the terrible truth that sometimes the one who looks like a traitor is the only one who understood. And that is the terrible destiny of Judas. Chapter 11. The Ascent into the Luminous Cloud. The final mystical moment of the Gospel of Judas begins not with action, but with a simple instruction from Jesus. Lift your eyes and see the cloud. It is a gentle command, but also a profound one. To look upward, in Gnostic language, is to look beyond the world, beyond the archons, beyond the illusions that bind the human spirit. Jesus is inviting Judas into a vision the other disciples are not ready for, a glimpse into the architecture of the realm of light. This is the culmination of everything Judas has been taught. When Judas lifts his gaze, he sees it, the same luminous cloud Jesus described earlier as the first emanation of the invisible spirit. The text says, "He beholds the luminous cloud and the great generation." This cloud is not weather, it is not mist. It is the living substance of the higher realms, the womb of the Aeons, the gateway to the incorruptible world. To see this cloud while still in the body is to stand with one foot in the material universe and one foot in eternity. Only a spirit that has begun to awaken can perceive such a thing. Inside the cloud, Judas sees a star, his star. The text states simply, "His star rose." This is the same star Jesus spoke of before, the symbol of Judas's fate, his destiny, the path he was born to walk. In Gnostic cosmology, a star is not merely a light in the sky. It is the blueprint of a being, one's place in the cosmic order, one's trajectory through existence. To see one's star from within the luminous cloud is to understand one's life not through fear or regret, but through clarity. For the first time, Judas sees the higher meaning of everything that is about to unfold. Then the text says something remarkable. A voice came from the cloud. It calls Judas. It addresses him directly. It draws him upward. This voice does not condemn him. It does not accuse him. It does not warn him away. It invites him. This is the affirmation Judas could never receive from the disciples, nor from the world, nor from history. The call from the cloud is the universe itself recognizing him, claiming him, welcoming him into the unfolding of the higher order. It is the signature of the invisible spirit, confirming that Judas is known and seen in the realm of light. And then it happens. Judas lifted up his eyes, and he could no longer be seen. The text implies something mystical, a moment of rapture, a moment when Judas steps, whether in body or in spirit, into the luminous cloud itself. He vanishes from sight, not as punishment, but as integration. He is received into a revelation so profound it cannot be witnessed by unawakened eyes. In this moment, Judas is not betraying Jesus. He is ascending into the knowledge that explains why he must do what comes next. With Judas taken into the cloud, Jesus departs from the disciples. The text describes this quietly, without spectacle. He withdraws. He leaves them. This is the end of Revelation, not because Jesus has nothing more to teach, but because the disciples can receive no more. Judas has crossed a boundary that separates him spiritually from the group, and Jesus now separates himself physically. The age of hidden teaching is closing. The age of events, of history, suffering, and misunderstanding is about to begin. When Jesus leaves, the disciples are left confused and disoriented. They do not see the cloud. They do not hear the voice. They do not understand why Judas vanished or why Jesus withdrew. Their confusion is not moral failure. It is spiritual immaturity. They remain bound to the world of the demiurge, the world of ritual, fear, and literal understanding. This is why Jesus laughed earlier, because they cling to what is familiar, not to what is true. Now they feel abandoned, unaware that the true abandonment is not Jesus' departure, but their distance from knowledge. This chapter marks a decisive shift in the entire gospel. Until now, the story has unfolded in the realm of vision, symbolism, cosmology, and revealed truth. But revelation cannot remain hidden forever. It must give way to action, to history, to the visible drama the world will witness and misunderstand. The luminous cloud marks the end of inner teaching and the beginning of the outer story. From this point forward, Judas's destiny moves out of the realm of light and into the flow of time, where it will be judged, condemned, and misread for 2,000 years. This is the threshold, the place where light fades into shadow and the hidden becomes visible. Chapter 12, the final betrayal. As the Gospel of Judas approaches its conclusion, the atmosphere around Jesus grows tense and unsettled. The text says, "A disturbance arose among the Jews." Not because Jesus performed miracles, and not because he healed or taught, but because he revealed a truth that shook the foundations of their world. His words did not merely reinterpret Scripture. They undermined the entire system of authority: the priests, the scribes, the temple, the very religious structure that governed daily life. His presence created unease, a quiet panic. People began to murmur. Officials began to watch. And the leaders of the community felt the ground shifting beneath their feet. The Gospel tells us that the scribes began actively searching for Jesus. They were not seeking enlightenment. They were seeking containment. They needed to find him before his message spread too far, before his teachings, especially those challenging the lower powers, inspired the crowds in ways the authorities could not control. But Jesus moved unpredictably. He withdrew. He reappeared. He spoke in parables and spent long periods in solitude. The scribes knew they could not seize him publicly. Not yet. Not while the people still hung on his words. They needed help. Someone close to him. Someone with access where they had none. Fear shapes every decision that follows. The leaders fear the crowds because the crowds, though confused, are drawn to Jesus. A public arrest could spark anger, resentment, even revolt. So the authorities begin planning in whispers, in private chambers, in hushed conversations. They must act, but they must not be seen acting. The only way forward is betrayal, carried out quietly, strategically, and from within. And so they approach Judas. The Gospel describes a moment in which Judas is questioned, pressed, tested by the scribes. They do not threaten him. They do not strike him. Instead, they probe his loyalty and search for an opening in his heart. What they cannot see is the cosmic weight Judas already carries. He does not stand before them as a frightened disciple. He stands as a man who has seen the luminous cloud, heard the voice of the eternal realm, and learned the destiny that sets him apart. Their interrogation only confirms what he already knows. The moment has arrived. The text then says simply, "And Judas told them what they wished to know." Not because he is motivated by money or jealousy, or any of the motives later traditions will attach to him. Judas complies because he believes the teaching Jesus gave him, that the rulers of this world can only strike the body, and that by delivering that body to them, he fulfills the role written into his star. This is not obedience to the priests. It is obedience to revelation. The Gospel of Judas describes the exchange plainly. They gave him money. There is no accusation attached here. No moral condemnation. No symbolic emphasis on silver. It is simply an exchange, a sign that the authority of the world has accepted Judas's cooperation. But the Gospel is careful to show that the money is not the motive. It is the marker, the seal of an earthly transaction that allows the cosmic plan to unfold. In later traditions, the money becomes the symbol of betrayal. Here, it is merely the final weight on a scale already tipped by destiny. The final act is described with striking simplicity. Judas handed him over. These words echo across history. They become the center of Christian imagination, the fuel of spiritual debate, the label that turns Judas into a universal symbol of treachery. But in this gospel, those words carry a different resonance. Judas is not handing over the living Jesus, the luminous one from the eternal realm. He is handing over the man who clothes him, as Jesus revealed earlier. He is not destroying his teacher. He is releasing him. He is separating the mortal body from the divine presence that cannot be killed. The priests believe they have gained control. Judas knows they have only grasped the garment. And then the gospel ends. Abruptly, silently, without crucifixion scenes, without resurrection stories, without miracles or triumph. It ends at the moment of handing over, because everything that matters has already been revealed. The Gospel of Judas is not concerned with the physical events that follow, the trial, the suffering, the death. Those belong to the world of history and the understanding of the crowds. This text is concerned with the inner meaning of the story, the secret teaching, the cosmic architecture, the destiny of Judas, the liberation of Jesus, and the truth hidden beneath the familiar narrative. It ends here because the visible story is not the real story. The real story has already taken place in the dialogue, the visions, the cloud, the star, the sorrow, and the knowledge shared between Jesus and Judas. And so the Gospel concludes not with triumph or tragedy, but with mystery. A mystery meant to be contemplated, not resolved. This is the end from the perspective of the world, but from the perspective of the luminous realm, it is the beginning of understanding. Chapter 13. Two Jesuses, Flesh and Spirit. One of the most radical ideas in the Gospel of Judas is that Jesus exists on two levels at once. There is the man, the physical body, the visible figure whom people can touch, arrest, and crucify. And there is the living Christ, the luminous being from the realm of the invisible spirit, untouched by the rulers of this world. Earlier in the Gospel, Jesus says to Judas, "You will sacrifice the man who clothes me." That single sentence reveals the divide. The man is a garment. The divine is the wearer. This distinction is not metaphorical flourish. It is cosmology. It is the foundation upon which everything else in this gospel rests. In Orthodox Christianity, Jesus suffers and dies as God incarnate, fully God and fully human, experiencing agony and death in the flesh. But in the Gnostic understanding, the divine cannot be wounded, cannot be broken, and cannot be killed. The rulers of this world, the archons, have authority only over matter. They cannot touch the invisible spirit. They cannot reach the higher Aeons. They cannot strike the realm of light. So when Jesus is arrested, beaten and crucified in the visible world, the Gnostic teaching insists on a crucial distinction. It is the body that suffers, not the divine presence within it. This is why Jesus tells Judas, "No mortal hand will rule over me." The divine cannot fall under the dominion of a world it did not create. In the Gospel of Judas, the crucifixion is not the climax of the story. It is a misunderstanding. The world sees a man dying. The disciples see their teacher suffering. The rulers believe they have won. But from the perspective of the luminous realms, something very different is happening. The divine being is departing the body, shedding it, slipping beyond the grasp of the demiurge. The crucifixion is not the defeat of Jesus. It is the failure of the archons to touch him. The suffering is real for the flesh, but irrelevant to the spirit. This is why the gospel leaves the crucifixion largely off stage. The physical event is not the point. The meaning of the event is the point. This is why Judas's role is framed so differently here. He is not betraying Jesus. He is assisting in the separation between the mortal garment and the immortal presence. Jesus tells him plainly, "You will sacrifice the man who bears me." To the crowds, it appears that Judas hands Jesus over to be destroyed. To the archons, it appears they are about to eliminate a threat. To history, it appears Judas is the villain. But within the hidden structure of the story, Judas is fulfilling a cosmic task, one no one else understands, and no one else could bear. He delivers the body so that the spirit can depart. In this text, Judas does not betray Jesus. He enables the liberation of the divine. You can feel in every line of the Gospel of Judas its tension with what would later become Orthodox Christian teaching. In emerging Christianity, Jesus dies as God. His suffering redeems humanity. The crucifixion is a holy sacrifice, and Judas is the betrayer. But in this gospel, the divine cannot die. The body is not the true self. Suffering is not required for salvation, and salvation comes through knowledge, not sacrifice. Judas is not the betrayer. He is the one who understands. These are not minor differences. They are two entirely different spiritual maps. One centers on faith, obedience, and redemption through suffering. The other centers on awakening, insight, and liberation from illusion. Both arose in the same era, side by side. Only one would shape the next 2,000 years. The Gospel of Judas contains a painful truth. Some destinies can only unfold through actions that appear dark from the outside. Cosmic necessity and moral appearance are not always aligned. To free the divine from the body, someone had to hand the body over. To complete the plan of the invisible spirit, someone had to step into the role no one else wanted. That someone was Judas. Not because he was weak, greedy, or manipulative, but because his star, his destiny, was aligned with the 13th realm. The realm at the edge of the cosmos, where transformation occurs. He is the tragic initiate, the one who understands the truth and suffers for it. In the end, the entire Gospel of Judas rests on a single spiritual logic. Liberation requires separation. The divine must separate from the body. Knowledge must separate from ignorance. The awakened must separate from the crowd. Judas must separate from the disciples. This gospel is not a story of moral failure. It is a story of metaphysical necessity. The body must be handed over so that the spirit can rise. The visible story must be allowed to unfold so that the invisible truth can be revealed. and Judas, in the silence of history, becomes the hinge on which separation becomes salvation. Chapter 14. Meaning, Awakening, and the Fate of the Soul. At the heart of the Gospel of Judas lies a simple struggle, one older than Scripture, as old as consciousness itself. Ignorance and insight. Ignorance in this gospel is not stupidity. It is forgetting. It is the soul sleepwalking through a world constructed by lesser powers, a world that feels complete only because it hides its own incompleteness. Insight is the opposite. It is remembering. It is the moment the spark inside a person recognizes something from the realm above. The Gospel of Judas is not asking you to agree with its cosmology. It is asking you to feel the difference between blindness and seeing, between living inside the surface of life and piercing through it. One of the most radical themes in this text is the distinction between two beings: the true God, the invisible spirit, the source of all light, and the creator of the material world, a lesser being, blind, arrogant, and limited, the demiurge. For many listeners, this is the hardest idea to accept. But to the Gnostics, it answered a question people still ask today. If the world is created by a perfect God, why is it full of suffering? Their answer was simple. The true God is perfect, but this world was not created by the true God. The world is a copy, not the original. A reflection, not the source. This division is not meant to frighten. It is meant to free. It means the world's flaws are not a reflection of your own worth, but the architecture of the place you are passing through. Despite the world's imperfections, the Gnostic vision insists there is something luminous within you. Something eternal. Something older than your name, your memories, your body, your circumstances. The text calls this the divine spark, a fragment of the invisible spirit implanted within human beings. This spark is the part of you that recognizes beauty without being taught, that feels truth before it is proven, that longs for something beyond the material world, even when you cannot name it. It is the whisper inside you that says, "I come from somewhere else." But awakening is not comfortable. It is not glamorous. It does not reward you with immediate peace. To awaken is to see the world differently, to see its illusions, its limits, its shadows. And once you see, you cannot unsee. This is why the disciples in the Gospel cling to ritual and literalism. It is safer. It is easier. It allows them to remain inside the familiar shape of religion without confronting the unknown. Judas does not have that luxury. And neither does anyone who begins to see the world with awakening eyes. Out of all the disciples, Judas is the only one who recognizes the divine within Jesus. The only one who sees beyond the teacher, beyond the miracle worker, beyond the man. He sees the luminous figure from the realm of Barbelo. And because he sees, he is chosen. This makes Judas the tragic initiate, the student who understands too much, too soon. He carries a destiny that will ruin his reputation, haunt his name, and turn him into an archetype of betrayal. But in the cosmology of this text, his suffering is not punishment. It is consequence. The cost of being awake when everyone else is still dreaming. Gnosis, the knowledge revealed in these hidden Gospels, is both beautiful and terrifying. It is beautiful because it unveils a universe of light, a realm where the spirit does not die, a truth that transcends suffering and decay. It is terrifying because it shows how small the visible world is, how fragile its authorities are, how easily its meaning can collapse. Gnosis is not comfort. It is clarity. And clarity, once it arrives, changes everything. The Gospel of Judas ends not with crucifixion, not with resurrection, but with separation. The divine leaves the body. The spirit escapes the rulers. The hidden truth rises out of the world of matter and returns to the realm of light. This is the Gnostic vision of liberation, not salvation through suffering, but escape through awakening. The body falls. The spirit ascends. And every soul that remembers its origin can follow the same path. The Gospel of Judas is not asking you to take its cosmology literally. It is not demanding belief. It is offering perspective, a different lens through which to view the story you thought you already knew. It invites you to ask, what if betrayal is sometimes a doorway? What if destiny feels like failure from the outside? What if awakening isolates before it liberates? What if the divine is closer to you than the world that claims to represent it? In the end, this gospel leaves you with a paradox. Judas, the most infamous figure in Christian memory, may be the only disciple who truly understood Jesus. Whether you accept this vision or not, the Gospel of Judas offers a gift. A reminder that hidden within every story is another story, one that challenges, unsettles, and awakens. And perhaps the true meaning of this text is not about Judas at all. Perhaps it is about you. About the spark within you that knows you come from somewhere higher and that longs, quietly, to return. As this hidden gospel fades back into silence, remember, its purpose was never certainty. It was an invitation to question the surface of things, to listen for what speaks beneath belief, and to notice the quiet spark within you that recognizes something older than the world itself. Whether the Gospel of Judas is history, myth, or mirror, its final whisper remains the same. Truth does not shout, it remembers. And sometimes The one who understands walks alone.